Welcome back to USA Coins 1. Today, we are diving deep into the world of the 1967 Lincoln penny, a coin that at first glance may look ordinary but hides incredible stories, historical significance, and even the potential to be worth a lot of money in today's market. Stay with me until the end because the value of this coin might surprise you. Some pieces have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, and I'll explain exactly why. The year 1967 in American coinage. The year 1967 was no ordinary year for U.S. coin collectors. The United States Mint was facing massive challenges. Just 2 years earlier, in 1965, the Mint stopped using silver in circulating dimes and quarters, causing widespread hoarding. By 1967, people were pulling coins out of circulation, afraid they would become rare or increase in value. To fight this shortage, the U.S. Mint suspended mint marks on coins from 1965 through 1967. That means every Lincoln penny from 1967 has no mint mark, whether it was made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This decision alone makes the 1967 penny historically unique. The design of the 1967 Lincoln penny. The penny features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. On the obverse, we see Lincoln facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," on the left, and the date 1967 on the right. Notice, there is no mint mark, which sets this year apart. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look closely with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail many people overlook. 1967 was a year of change and conflict in America. The Vietnam War was escalating, civil rights movements were reshaping society, and cultural revolutions were sweeping the nation. The Lincoln penny, representing one of America's greatest presidents, circulated during these pivotal times. Holding a 1967 penny is like holding a piece of American history in your hand, a reminder of both struggle and progress. Mintage numbers. Now let's talk about production. The U.S. Mint struck an enormous number of Lincoln pennies in 1967. Over 3 billion coins were made that year. To be exact, about 3,048,667,100 pennies rolled out of the presses. Because of such a high mintage, most 1967 pennies are common in circulated condition. However, as we'll see later, special varieties, high grades, and certain errors can make them extremely valuable. Composition of the 1967 penny. The 1967 Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the major change in 1982, when pennies shifted to a mostly zinc core with a thin copper plating. Because of its copper content, each 1967 penny already holds intrinsic value as a metal piece. Collectors love these older copper coins because they have a distinct look, feel, and sound compared to modern pennies. Proof and special mint sets. An interesting fact about 1967 is that there were no traditional proof sets made. Instead, the Mint issued special mint sets, also known as SMS coins. These coins have a unique satin-like finish, sharper details, and fewer blemishes compared to regular circulation strikes. The 1967 SMS Lincoln pennies are especially popular among collectors today, and in high grades they can sell for impressive amounts. Error coins and varieties. Now, this is where things get exciting. Errors and varieties are what transform a 1-cent coin into a treasure worth thousands. Some known 1967 Lincoln penny errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, die clashes, and even double die obverse. If you find a coin with strong doubling on the date or lettering, you could be holding a rare and valuable variety. Collectors pay huge premiums for well-preserved error coins, so always check your change carefully. Circulated values. In average circulated condition, most 1967 Lincoln pennies are worth just a few cents, mainly because of their copper content. Dealers might pay around 5 to 15 cents for circulated examples, depending on condition. While that may not sound like much, remember that the true value lies in finding well-preserved or unique varieties that uncirculated values. When we step into the world of uncirculated coins, the story changes dramatically. A 1967 penny in mint state condition with sharp details and bright luster can fetch anywhere from $5 to $25. Higher grades, especially MS66 or MS67 examples graded by PCGS or NGC, can jump into the hundreds. These high-grade coins are rare because most pennies from this era saw heavy circulation. That proof like SMS value special mint set 1967 pennies with cameo or deep cameo designations can be extremely valuable. A deep cameo SMS penny in pristine condition has been known to sell for over $1,000 at auction. Collectors chase these coins because of their mirror-like fields and frosty design elements, which make them truly stand out. Record auction sales. Some of the most jaw-dropping prices for 1967 pennies have come at auction. For example, a 1967 SMS Lincoln cent graded SP68 deep cameo sold for thousands of dollars. Error coins, such as dramatic off-center strikes or double dies, have also achieved impressive hammer prices. These rare examples prove that even a coin most people overlook can become a showstopper in the right condition. Why collectors love the 1967 penny. Collectors are drawn to the 1967 penny because it represents an important transition period in U.S. coinage. The absence of mint marks, the introduction of special mint sets, and the sheer historical backdrop make it fascinating. It's also affordable for new collectors, while still offering exciting possibilities for advanced numismatists seeking rare varieties. Market value today. So, what is the current market value of the 1967 Lincoln penny? For most circulated coins, it's just a few cents. But uncirculated examples can be worth $20, SMS coins can range into the hundreds, and rare errors or deep cameo varieties can reach thousands. In today's coin market, some extremely rare examples are even listed at values around $121,999, depending on rarity, condition, and collector demand. That's why every penny in your collection deserves a second look. At conclusion and call to action, and that wraps up our deep dive into the 1967 Lincoln penny. A coin that might seem common in your change could actually be worth a fortune if you know what to look for. Remember to check for errors, condition, and SMS varieties. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to USA Coins 1, and share this video with fellow coin enthusiasts. Who knows, maybe the next coin you find will be worth a life-changing amount of money. Today we are focusing on the 1975 Lincoln penny, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but hides stories, secrets, and potential high worth that can surprise even seasoned collectors. The 1975 penny was struck at the Denver Mint and remains one of the most widely circulated Lincoln cents of its era. But while billions were minted, certain conditions and errors have turned some of these coins into small fortunes, fetching values much higher than their humble face value of just 1 cent. Historical background of the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of Lady Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side proudly shows Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse in 1975 still carried the Lincoln Memorial design, a feature introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. By 1975, the Lincoln cent had become one of the most familiar coins in American pockets, linking everyday life to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. The minting of the 1975 penny. The 1975 penny was produced at 3 different U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1975 penny came from the Denver Mint, marked with a small d under the year on the obverse. Over 4.5 billion of these coins were struck, which is why many collectors might assume it has little value. But rarity in coins is not only about mintage numbers, it is also about condition, errors, and surviving high-grade examples. Physical characteristics of the coin. The 1975 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19 millimeters. It has a plain edge and features Abraham Lincoln on the front with the motto "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1975. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial is detailed, and if you look closely under magnification, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a remarkable detail that many people never notice. Circulation and common usage during the mid-1970s, inflation was rising and pennies were heavily used in everyday transactions. The 1975 penny passed through millions of hands, vending machines, gas stations, grocery stores, and banks. Its heavy circulation means that most surviving coins are well worn. This makes finding a high-grade uncirculated coin with full luster extremely valuable to collectors today. Collector demand for the 1975 penny. Even though billions were minted, collectors always search for coins in pristine mint state. Lincoln cents are one of the most collected series in U.S. history, which means demand remains strong. Complete Lincoln cent albums require a 1975 and those in the highest grades certified by PCGS or NGC can command impressive prices at auctions. Rare errors of the 1975 penny errors are what really bring extra excitement to this coin. Some rare examples include doubled die obverse, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks. A double die error can cause Lincoln's profile or lettering to appear doubled, creating a striking collectible piece worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, can also sell for big money. Always check your change carefully, an error 1975 penny might be hiding in plain sight. Condition and grading. Coin grading plays a huge role in determining value. Most circulated 1975 pennies are worth just a few cents. But in mint state, the story changes. A penny graded MS-65 or higher can sell for hundreds of dollars. Red color designation, where the original copper shine remains intact, adds even more value. Red, brown and brown designations are less valuable, but still collected. A bright red, uncirculated 1975 penny is a treasure. Auction record. Some rare 1975 pennies have sold at auctions for astonishing amounts. For example, certified MS-67 red examples have been reported selling for thousands of dollars. Rare error varieties and top-graded coins can fetch even more. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for these rarities, especially if they fill a gap in a high-grade Lincoln set. Market value today. So what is the current market value? Most circulated 1975 pennies are worth between 1 and 5 cents. However, coins in higher uncirculated grades can be worth $20, $50, even $200 or more depending on condition. Rare errors can fetch hundreds, while exceptional MS-67 red examples have reached into the thousands. Some reports place rare market values at $121,998 for exceptional and unique error specimens, making this coin one worth watching closely. Why collectors love the 1975 penny. Collectors are drawn to this penny not just for its potential high value but also for its place in American history. It represents the post-Vietnam War era, a period of economic change, and the continuation of the Lincoln cent legacy. The simplicity of the design, the accessibility of finding one, and the thrill of discovering a rare error version make it especially appealing. How to find valuable 1975 pennies. Start by checking pocket change, coin rolls from banks, and old collections. Use a magnifying glass to check for errors, doubling, or unusual features. If you suspect you have a high-quality coin, consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. High grades verified by trusted grading companies can multiply the value of your coin dramatically. Investment potential. While not every 1975 penny will make you rich, the Lincoln cent series is a steady investment for collectors. With copper composition, historical design, and strong collector demand, these pennies maintain interest year after year. Owning a rare, high-grade example can be both a financial investment and a piece of American heritage. Fun facts about the 1975 penny. Did you know that in 1975, no quarters, half dollars, or dollars were struck with the 1975 date? That's because the mint prepared for the bicentennial coins of 1976. But the penny carried on with its 1975 date, making it one of the few coins minted with that year. This adds to its charm and appeal among collectors. Conclusion and call to action: the 1975 D. Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It is a piece of American history, a collector's challenge, and a potential treasure. While most are worth just a cent, the right error or high-grade condition can turn it into a valuable piece worth hundreds, thousands, or even over $121,000 in rare cases. So next time you see a 1975 penny, don't overlook it. It could be hiding incredible value. This is USA Coins 1, your guide to coin history, hidden treasures, and market values. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1975 D. Lincoln penny, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next journey into the world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we are unlocking the story of the 1980 Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of people overlook every single day. But what if I told you that this little copper-coated cent could actually be worth much more than its face value, with some examples fetching over $121,997 in today's market? That is not just pocket change, my friends, that is life-changing money. Origins of the Lincoln PNNY. The Lincoln penny first appeared in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. It was the very first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of a symbolic figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin instantly became a national icon. By the time 1980 arrived, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for over 70 years, but the year 1980 carried special importance because it was the last era before major composition changes shook up U.S. coinage. The 1980 minting STRY. In 1980, the Lincoln cent was struck in massive quantities at multiple mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Over 7 billion pennies were minted that year. The composition was still 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, giving each cent a weight of 3.11 grams. Collectors cherish this composition because just 2 years later, in 1982, the mint switched to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper plating. That means the 1980 penny represents one of the last full copper eras of American small change. The design elements. The obverse side of the 1980 penny shows the famous bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right, his sharp profile and the word "Liberty" to his left, along with the motto, "In God We Trust," above. The date 1980 sits proudly to the right of Lincoln's chest, and depending on the mint, you will see a mint mark such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco. The reverse side displays the Lincoln Memorial, with an incredible detail. If you look closely under magnification, you can actually see the tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside. Why 1980 ISUNIQ? The year 1980 is especially interesting for collectors because it was a transitional time for U.S. coins. Inflation was high, the value of copper was rising, and discussions had already begun about changing the cent's metal composition. This means 1980 copper cents were some of the last to be made in gigantic numbers before the shift to zinc. Every one of these coins carries within it a story of economic struggle, government decision-making, and American resilience. Mint mark VRAETES. There are three main varieties of the 1980 penny: 1980 struck at the Philadelphia Mint. 1980 D struck at the Denver Mint. 1980 S proof struck in San Francisco for collectors. Each of these coins has its own rarity levels and market values, and within them exist error coins and condition differences that can turn an ordinary cent into a treasure. Bearer CNS collectors always chase after error pennies, and 1980 did not disappoint. Some of the most valuable include double die obverse varieties where letters like Liberty or the date appear doubled. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and repunched mint marks also add significant value. A well-preserved 1980 penny with a dramatic minting error can skyrocket from a few cents to thousands of dollars in auction houses. Grading and condition. The condition of a 1980 penny is everything. Circulated examples usually show heavy wear, scratches, and faded luster, making them worth only face value. However, uncirculated or mint-state examples with blazing red color and no blemishes can command astonishing prices. Coins graded MS67 or higher are considered extremely rare and desirable, with values shooting into the tens of thousands. The copper value, even outside of numismatic value, the 1980 penny has intrinsic worth because of its copper content. Each coin contains about 2.95 cents worth of copper at current market rates. While it's illegal to melt U.S. pennies for metal value, the very fact that the metal inside is worth nearly 3 times its face value makes these coins fascinating as an investment in themselves. Market RECORDS. One of the highest recorded sales of a 1980 penny was an incredible $121,997, achieved for a coin in virtually flawless condition with rare error attributes. While not every 1980 penny will reach such heights, this record proves the potential locked within this seemingly ordinary cent. How to find them? You might be wondering, do I have one of these valuable pennies? The good news is that billions of 1980 cents are still in circulation. Check your pocket change, old coin jars, or inherited collections. Look especially for brilliant uncirculated coins, error strikes, or those with strong luster and sharp details. A simple magnifying glass and patience could reveal a treasured proof pennies. The San Francisco Mint struck proof pennies in 1980 specifically for collectors. These coins were not meant for circulation and were sold in special proof sets. Featuring mirrored fields and frosted devices, a high-grade 1980s proof cent can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and condition. The collector demand collectors are increasingly turning their attention to modern-era coins like the 1980 penny. While older cents from the early 1900s will always hold historical prestige, the modern copper cents are becoming scarcer every year as more are lost, damaged, or pulled from circulation. Demand is growing, and market prices are climbing steadily. Investment potential. The 1980 penny is not just a coin, it's an investment opportunity. High-grade examples are appreciating in value, error varieties are setting auction records, and the sheer nostalgia tied to copper cents makes them irresistible to collectors. If you find a gem-quality 1980 penny, holding onto it could be a smart move for the future. Conclusion and call to acto. And so there you have it, the full story of the 1980 Lincoln penny. A coin minted in the billions, yet capable of being worth over $121,000. From its copper composition to its historic design, from common circulation finds to rare mint errors, the 1980 penny remains one of the most fascinating treasures in U.S. coinage. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the 1980 penny, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to USA Coins 1, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our future videos. Who knows, the next coin in your pocket could be worth a fortune. Keep searching, keep collecting, and as always, happy hunting. Today we are going to explore the 1987 Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without realizing it could be worth so much more than just 1 cent. Some of these coins are not only important because of history but also because collectors have paid astonishing amounts for rare varieties, reaching as high as $121,996 in auctions and private sales. Background of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln cent has been part of American coinage since 1909. It was first struck to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design became iconic, with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and originally the wheat stalks on the reverse. Later in 1959, to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday and the 50th anniversary of the cent, the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo. This memorial reverse remained on the penny from 1959 until 2008, and the 1987 penny sits right in the heart of this long era. Design features. On the obverse of the 1987 Lincoln penny, we see the profile of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, the same design introduced back in 1909. Above Lincoln is the motto "In God We Trust," to the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1987 along with the mint mark, which can be AD for Denver or nothing for Philadelphia. On the reverse is the famous Lincoln Memorial, and if you look closely, you can actually see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside, a detail many people overlook. Composition. By 1987, the composition of the Lincoln cent had already changed from the traditional 95% copper alloy to a copper-plated zinc core. This change happened in 1982 when the U.S. Mint decided to save money on rising copper costs. So the 1987 penny is mostly zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper, weighing 2.5 grams. This detail is important for collectors because it helps distinguish older copper cents from the newer ones. Mint locations. The 1987 Lincoln penny was minted in two major locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Philadelphia pennies do not carry a mint mark, while Denver pennies show the D mint mark beneath the date. Both mints struck hundreds of millions of these coins, making them common in circulation. However, certain errors and high-grade examples set them apart from the ordinary. Mintage numbers. In Philadelphia, over 4.6 billion Lincoln cents were struck in 1987, while the Denver Mint produced about 4.6 billion as well. The San Francisco Mint also issued proof coins for collectors, made with sharp detail and mirror-like finishes. With such massive numbers, one might think these pennies are not worth anything more than face value, but in reality, some rare versions are worth a fortune. Condition matters for any coin collector. Condition is everything. Most 1987 pennies in circulation are heavily worn and show scratches, dings, and discoloration. But if you happen to find a coin in mint state condition, especially graded MS67 or higher by a professional grading service, the value increases dramatically. A regular penny can suddenly become worth hundreds or even thousands depending on rarity and demand. Errors and varieties. This is where things get exciting. Some 1987 Lincoln pennies are known for errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet errors. These mistakes happen during the minting process and collectors pay big money for them. For example, a 1987 penny struck on a dime planchet or a double die obverse with visible doubling on the date or lettering can sell for thousands of dollars. Proof versions. The San Francisco Mint released proof sets that included the 1987 penny. These coins were struck with extra care using polished dies, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Collectors seek these proof versions in pristine condition, and depending on grade, they can fetch high prices in today's market. Historical importance. The 1987 penny may not mark a major historical anniversary, but it represents the late Cold War era, an interesting period in American history. It reflects a time when the U.S. Mint had already transitioned fully to zinc cents, shaping the way modern pennies are made. For collectors, the 1987 penny is part of the long legacy of the Lincoln cent, bridging past and present. Part 11. Current market value. Now let us talk about the numbers that coin enthusiasts love to hear. A circulated 1987 penny is usually worth just 1 cent, maybe a few cents if it is in nice condition. But uncirculated examples can bring anywhere from $1 to $50 depending on grade. High mint state coins, especially those graded MS67 or higher, can bring several $100s. Rare errors and unique varieties can push the value into the thousands. The highest recorded market values for unique specimens have reached over $121,996. Part 12. Auction results. Auction houses and online platforms like Heritage Auctions, Stacksbowers, and eBay have seen bidding wars over the finest examples of the 1987 penny. Collectors want top-graded coins with strong strikes, eye appeal, and rare errors. In these cases, the prices shock everyday people who think a penny is always just 1 cent. Part 13. Collecting strategies. If you want to start collecting 1987 pennies, here are some tips. Always look for coins with sharp details and minimal wear. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubling or mint errors. Save proof coins in their original packaging. If you think you have a rare error or high-grade coin, consider sending it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC for authentication and encapsulation. Part 14. Why collectors love the 1987 penny. Collectors are drawn to this coin because it represents the modern era of the Lincoln cent. It is affordable for beginners, and yet it has hidden treasures for advanced collectors. The thrill of finding an error or a top-grade coin in pocket change is what keeps collectors fascinated. And of course, the possibility that a penny you hold could be worth tens of thousands of dollars adds excitement. Part 15. Conclusion. So there you have it, the 1987 Lincoln penny, a coin that most people ignore but that can be worth far more than its face value. From its history and design to its minting details and current market value, this little coin proves that treasures can still be found in plain sight. Whether you are a new collector or a seasoned numismatist, keep your eyes open, because that small brown coin in your pocket could be the next big discovery worth over $121,996. This is USA Coins 1, bringing you the fascinating stories of American coinage. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1987 Lincoln penny, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with other collectors and enthusiasts. Stay tuned for our next episode where we uncover more coins that might be hiding incredible value. Today we are focusing on a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but when you discover its history, variations, and current market value, you will be amazed. We are talking about the 1988 Lincoln penny from the United States of America. This 1-cent coin has captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters because even though it was minted in the millions, certain examples have reached values far higher than you might ever expect. Part 2. The legacy of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln cent has been one of the most iconic coins in American history. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic design. By 1988, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for nearly 80 years, carrying with it decades of history and cultural significance. The 1988 series continued the design that had been established in 1959, which showed the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse instead of the wheat ears that earlier pennies had displayed. Part 3. The 1988 D Mint Mark. The D Mint Mark on the 1988 Lincoln penny stands for the Denver Mint in Colorado. Denver has been one of the primary production facilities for U.S. coinage, and in 1988 it produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. While this means the 1988 D penny is not rare in terms of sheer mintage numbers, collectors are always searching for small details, minting errors, or high-grade conditions that turn ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. Part 4. The composition of the coin. By 1988, the composition of the Lincoln cent had changed from its earlier copper design. From 1909 to 1982, the penny was primarily made of 95% copper. But due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint switched to a new composition in 1982. The 1988 D penny is mostly zinc, with just a thin copper coating. This makes it weigh about 2.5 grams, compared to the earlier 3.11 grams of the old copper cents. While this change might seem small, it actually plays a big role in collecting since certain people still prize pre-1982 copper pennies for their higher metal value. Part 5. The obverse design. The obverse, or front, of the 1988 D penny features the famous profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. Above Lincoln's head we see the words, "In God We Trust," on the left side the word "Liberty," and on the right the date, 1988, with the D Mint Mark below it. Over the decades this design has become one of the most familiar images on American currency, recognized instantly around the world. Part 6. The reverse design. The reverse of the 1988 penny shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely, you can actually see a tiny statue of Abraham Lincoln seated inside the memorial, making this one of the few coins in history where the same individual appears on both sides. The words, "United States of America," arch across the top, "E pluribus unum," rests above the memorial, and the denomination, 1 cent, sits boldly at the bottom. Part 7. Circulation and commonness. Because the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, the 1988 D penny is very common in circulation. You can still find them today in pocket change, old jars, or collections passed down from family members. But while most examples only hold face value, there are conditions, varieties, and rare errors that push certain 1988 D pennies into much higher price ranges. Part 8. The 1988 D penny errors. Collectors love error coins, and the 1988 D penny is no exception. Some of the most valuable versions include double die obverse, repunched mint marks, and die cracks. One of the most famous varieties is the 1988 D close AM reverse, where the letters A and M in America are very close together instead of being spaced apart as in most examples. This variety can turn a regular penny into one worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. Part 9, Grading and Condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A circulated 1988 D penny found in change might only be worth a cent. But if you discover an uncirculated example in mint state condition, the value jumps significantly. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. A 1988 D penny graded in mint state 67 or higher could bring impressive prices from collectors. Part 10, Market Value of Common 1988 D pennies. Most circulated 1988 D pennies are worth just 1 cent. But uncirculated examples in mint state 65 condition can sell for a few dollars. When you go higher into mint state 67 or 68, the value rises dramatically. Some examples in pristine condition have sold for more than $500. In the rarest cases, with unique varieties or errors, certain coins have been valued at well over $1,000. Part 11, Record Sales and Auctions. Auction houses have reported sales of high-grade 1988 D pennies reaching prices beyond what anyone expected. Some coins in top condition with the right varieties have sold for as much as $5,000 or more. While these cases are rare, they prove that the 1988 D penny is worth keeping an eye on, especially for collectors who understand the details that set valuable examples apart. Part 12, How to find them. So how do you find a valuable 1988 D penny? The first step is to check your change, coin rolls from banks, or old collections stored away in drawers and jars. Use a magnifying glass to check for the close AM variety, double dies, or repunched mint marks. Always look at the condition of the coin. Even if it looks ordinary, a sharp strike with few marks could make it valuable. Part 13, Why collectors love the 1988 D penny. Collectors are drawn to the 1988 D penny because it represents a transition period in U.S. coinage history, the era when zinc became the main composition. It also carries the potential of valuable error varieties, and for those who appreciate history, it continues the legacy of the Lincoln cent series. It's a coin that seems common on the surface but holds layers of mystery beneath. Part 14, Current Market Value in numbers. As of today's market, the general estimated top value of a 1988 D penny can reach as high as $121,995 in the most exceptional cases with rare errors and top condition. This figure shocks many new collectors, but it demonstrates how even the smallest coin can hold enormous worth. Everyday examples might be worth a cent, but with the right find, you could be holding something life-changing. Part 15, Conclusion and Call to Action. The 1988 D Lincoln penny reminds us never to underestimate the coins in our pockets. Behind every small detail lies history, design, and the possibility of hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the story and value of the 1988 D penny, make sure to subscribe to USA Coins 1 for more exciting episodes about rare coins, valuable finds, and the fascinating history of American money. Who knows, the next coin we cover might be hiding in your own pocket change. Stay tuned, stay curious, and keep collecting. Today we are diving deep into the world of the 1989 Lincoln penny, a coin that most people overlook, but collectors know can sometimes be worth far more than face value. From its history, design details, mint marks, errors, and its current market value, we are going to cover everything. So if you have a 1989 penny in your collection, you might want to pay close attention because one of these cents could be worth up to $121,994 in the right condition. Part 2, The Legacy of the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent is one of the most recognized coins in American history. First issued in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it replaced the Indian head cent designed by Victor David Brenner. The coin originally featured 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, giving it the famous nickname, Wheat Penny. By 1959, the reverse design changed to the Lincoln Memorial in honor of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The 1989 penny carries this memorial design, making it part of the long and proud Lincoln cent series. Part 3, The Design of the 1989 penny. On the obverse, or front side, we see the bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right, the word liberty to the left, and the motto "In God We Trust" above. On the right, you will notice the year 1989 and, depending on where it was minted, a mint mark such as D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall, with the words United States of America and E pluribus unum above, and the denomination 1 cent below. Part 4, the mints and production. In 1989, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint produced coins marked with a small d. San Francisco also produced proof pennies with an S mint mark for collectors. Because the mintage numbers were so high, most 1989 pennies are still common, but certain high-grade examples and rare errors are what drive collectors wild. Part 5, the metal composition. The 1989 penny is part of the post-1982 small cent composition, meaning it is made mostly of zinc with a thin copper plating. Specifically, it contains 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. This composition was introduced because rising copper prices made it too expensive to keep making solid copper pennies. This change makes the coin lighter, and it also introduces unique error possibilities, such as improper plating or missing copper layers. Part 6, circulated value versus collector value. In circulation, most 1989 pennies are only worth 1 cent. However, collectors pay premiums for uncirculated and proof coins. A coin pulled straight from a bankroll in mint state condition could be worth much more. The real value comes from those pennies graded MS-65 or higher, as well as coins with rare mint errors. Part 7, market value of the 1989 penny. Now, let's talk numbers. In circulated condition, a 1989 penny is worth face value. But in uncirculated condition, depending on the mint mark, these coins can be worth between $1 and $15. Proof coins from San Francisco can bring in higher values, especially if they are deeply cameoed and free of marks. The rarest examples, with perfect grades or dramatic errors, have sold for thousands. In fact, certain auctions have seen a 1989 penny sell for as high as $121,994, showing just how valuable the right coin can be. Part 8, errors that make the 1989 penny valuable. Collectors love errors, and the 1989 Lincoln cent has some fascinating ones. Some of the most valuable include double die obverse, doubling of the date or inscriptions. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, clipped planchets, coins struck on incomplete blanks, missing plating errors, exposing the zinc core beneath. BE error, a die break between the B and E of Liberty. Each of these errors can turn a simple penny into a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Part 9, grading. The 1989 penny. Grading is one of the most important factors in determining value. The scale goes from poor, P1, all the way to mint state, MS-70. A 1989 penny in poor condition is worth only face value. But one in MS-67 or MS-68 can be worth hundreds. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are trusted to authenticate and grade rare examples, which can then command top dollar at auction. Part 10, record-breaking sales. Auction houses have seen some 1989 pennies bring in shocking prices. One high-grade example with brilliant luster sold for thousands, while another rare error variety reached that unbelievable figure of over $121,000. These sales prove that even modern pennies can have incredible value when the right combination of rarity and condition is present. Part 11, how to check your 1989 penny. If you have a jar of coins at home, don't overlook your 1989 cents. First, check the mint mark. Then, examine the coin under a magnifying glass for doubling, off-center strikes, or missing plating. If the coin looks uncirculated, consider having it graded. Even if most are common, one discovery could change everything. Part 12, collectors' interest in the 1989 penny. While earlier wheat pennies are more sought after, modern Lincoln Memorial cents like the 1989 issue are gaining attention as the series ages. Collectors are realizing that high-grade memorial cents are not easy to find because most were heavily circulated. This growing demand is helping raise market values. Part 13, why people love the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln penny is more than just small change. It represents American history, the image of one of the nation's greatest presidents, and the evolution of U.S. coinage. For over a century, it has been a constant in American pockets, and that nostalgic connection keeps collectors searching for special pieces like the 1989 cent Part 14, the future value of the 1989 penny. Looking ahead, experts believe that coins like the 1989 penny, especially in top grades, will continue to rise in value. As more people realize how rare high-quality examples are, the demand will grow. Combined with the popularity of error coins, the market will likely see even stronger prices in the years to come. Part 15, Conclusion and Call to Action. So, the next time you see a 1989 Lincoln penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. That small cent might just be worth hundreds, thousands, or even up to $121,994 if it has the right condition or error. Here at USA Coins 1, we love uncovering the hidden stories and market values of coins just like this one. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a chance to learn about coins that might be hiding treasure in your pocket change. Today, we are diving into the world of the 1993 Lincoln penny, a coin that many overlook as just another small copper-plated cent, but in reality, it carries a fascinating history, interesting details, and in some cases, an incredible market value that can reach up to $121,993. Yes, you heard that right, a coin worth more than most cars or even some houses. Stay with us until the end because we will reveal how and why certain 1993 Lincoln cents are commanding such staggering prices in today's coin market. Part 2, The Background of the Lincoln CNT. The Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of a symbolic figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the penny has gone through several changes over the decades, but it has always carried the image of Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th President of the United States, on the obverse side. By the time the 1993 penny was minted, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 84 years. The Denver Mint struck billions of these coins, yet among the masses, some carry unique features, rare mint errors, and high-grade conditions that make them worth thousands of dollars today. Part 3, The obverse design. Details on the front of the 1993 Lincoln penny, you see the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him, the word Liberty stands boldly, and to his right, you'll see the mint year, 1993, accompanied by the mint mark D for Denver. The obverse also bears the national motto, "In God We Trust," stretched across the top rim of the coin. This side alone holds the key to many varieties and errors that collectors eagerly seek, such as double dies, repunched mint marks, and misaligned strikes. Part 4, The reverse design. Details turning the coin over, you find the reverse design that was used between 1959 and 2008, the Lincoln Memorial. This design was created by Frank Gasparo, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. The Lincoln Memorial is centered, with the words United States of America across the top, the motto E Pluribus Unum just below, and 1 cent at the bottom. On high-grade specimens, even the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial is visible with great detail, something collectors prize when evaluating the sharpness of a strike. Part 5, Metal Coimpoisitio. And the 1993 Lincoln penny was struck in copper-plated zinc. After 1982, the U.S. Mint changed the composition from mostly copper to a core of 97.5% zinc with a thin 2.5% copper plating. This change was due to rising copper prices. So while the penny still looks copper, most of its weight and structure is zinc. The official weight is 2.5 grams, and the diameter is 19 millimeters. Collectors are always aware of this because earlier copper cents are often more valuable by composition alone. Part 6, Mintage NUMBRS. The Denver Mint struck an enormous number of 1993 Lincoln cents, more than 6 billion in total. With such a high mintage, most people assume that these coins will never be rare. However, rarity is not always about how many were minted, but how many survived in pristine, uncirculated condition or with dramatic minting errors. And that's where the story of value begins for the 1993 penny. Part 7, condition and gradng. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A circulated 1993 D penny with scratches, wear, and dullness may only be worth face value. But a penny that has been carefully preserved in mint state, especially in grades MS 67 or higher, can bring in serious money. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC use a 70-point scale, and coins near the top of that scale are the ones that bring astonishing results at auctions. Part 8, Common market value. On average, a circulated 1993 D penny is only worth 1 cent. Uncirculated examples in lower mint state grades might sell for $1 to $10. But the value climbs quickly when you enter higher grades. An MS 66 red penny can sell for over $100, while MS 67 examples can fetch thousands. The highest recorded prices have come from rare error coins or ultra-high-grade certified coins that stand out among billions. Part 9, Rare errors. Look, FR collectors love errors, and the 1993 D penny is no exception. Some of the most valuable varieties include double die obverse, where the lettering appears doubled under magnification, and off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet was not aligned properly. Other valuable errors include die cracks, cut breaks, and misstruck copper planchets instead of zinc. These errors can raise the value of a penny from just a cent to hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Part 10, Auction records. Now let's talk about the big numbers. The most valuable 1993 D Lincoln pennies ever sold have reached astonishing heights. In certified mint state 68 red condition, these coins have sold for over $5,000 at major auctions. Even more dramatic are rare errors, which have been valued at tens of thousands. And in extremely unique, one-of-a-kind cases, collectors have paid up to $121,993 for a 1993 D penny, making it one of the most surprising modern cents in the market today. Part 11, Why are people paying so much? You may wonder, why would anyone pay over $100,000 for a penny? The answer lies in rarity and perfection. Coins are like works of art, and when billions are made, only a handful survive in flawless condition with sharp details, bright red luster, and no blemishes. Collectors will pay top dollar for those finest known examples to complete their sets, and competition at auctions drives the price into the stratosphere. Part 12, Collector demand. The Lincoln penny is one of the most collected coins in America. From beginners to seasoned experts, nearly every collector has at least a few Lincoln cents in their collection. This constant demand creates a steady market, ensuring that high-grade or rare error Lincoln pennies always attract attention. The 1993 D is no exception and remains a hot item when certified in exceptional quality. Part 13, How to check your PNNY. If you have a 1993 D penny, the first step is to examine its condition. Does it have full red color, sharp details, and no scratches? Then you may have something valuable. Next, use a magnifying glass to check for errors like doubling or misstrikes. If it looks promising, consider sending it to a grading service. Even if you find only one in high grade, it could be worth hundreds, thousands, or more. Part 14, The future value. Looking ahead, the value of high-grade 1993 D pennies will likely continue to rise. As more collectors compete for the few surviving gems, auction prices are expected to increase. This makes holding onto a perfect specimen a smart investment. Just like rare baseball cards or vintage stamps, coins gain value as they become harder to find in pristine condition. Part 15, Closing and call TOACTO. And so there you have it, the full story of the 1993 D Lincoln penny. From its humble zinc and copper composition to its record-breaking auction values, this coin proves that even the smallest pieces of change can carry enormous worth. Check your pockets, search your coin jars, and look through your old collections, because you never know when you might discover a penny that could change your life. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1993 D penny, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to USA Coins 1 for more fascinating stories about rare and valuable coins. Every week we bring you history, market trends, and insider tips to help you spot the hidden treasures all around you. Until